recording with a video instead of me just staring at the video. It's just a different kind of like technique, I guess, you know? And then I can kind of arrange my tea table. Yes, it's the same flowers. I'm really impressed that they've lasted this long. Yeah. But yeah, about that French jazz. Etc, etc, etc. Is that how you start a video?
You could do that.
Just,
oh, hey, didn't see you there.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Didn't
wow, I'm so sorry. I forgot that I hit the live button. What do you even do with the first 30 seconds? I don't know. Tea Traveler, how's it going? Gabby, how's it going? Welcome to the very last tea practice we got before this pour challenge happens tomorrow or in 8 hours for you guys who are in not PST, Pacific Standard Time, or already happening if you're Nick from Australia and other people. So yeah, while we're still behind here in Vegas, it's not yet the first. We got a little bit of an opportunity to drink some tea together. That's not pu'er before that happens. I know I'm acting like I'm not excited about this stuff. I actually am. It's just, you know, it's a void. We're just staring into the mall, you know, like, oh God. I'm excited. I like pu'er, Gabby. Yeah, it's intimidating. Even for me, like, tea is intimidating, period. Just in terms of how intense the knowledge and the deep dive can be. But for pu'er, you know, we were talking about in the Discord, it's not the tea that immediately clicks with me. I gotta put some effort into it. Let's say with oolong or white tea, which we are drinking today. We're gonna be doing some white tea. I just get it, you know, and pu'er, it's almost like I gotta like reach across the table to kind of understand it more. So yeah, that's a little bit different, but that's okay. That's okay. Tomorrow, pu'er challenge happens, but today we got our last tea that we can brew together before all it happens. And it's based on the question that we got from our friend Tyler from Hakuna Matala on Discord and here on Instagram, which is, if you were stuck on a deserted island, if the apocalypse happened and you only had a small backpack to carry and you can only put one tea in there, you only had, you know, a couple minutes to grab your dog, your cat, your boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, and then one tea, which tea would you put in that backpack, you know? Like, the guards are prodding you into the boat, like, it's time to go on the boat, dude, which tea are you bringing? And I'm curious what your responses are. I think some people will approach this in a practical way, like, oh, you know, I gotta bring a cake of pu'er because you can break it up and you've got a lot of steeps in there. Maybe someone else will be a little bit more sentimental. I'm going somewhere in the middle. We'll talk about that tea today. Cool. Amy, bonjour. Eric from Tea Sleuth, how's it going, my friend? Nine Dragons Tea and Entre Shop. How are you seeing these people before I am? What's going on? Am I behind?
No.
Oh, is Nine Dragons Tea Jake?
That's Jake.
That's right. Oh my goodness. You guys have... I mean, we're like that too, because we're over at Yin Ceramics also, so it's like kind of confusing. And then Amy is also at Le Rue de l'Eau, right? So, Amy, forgive me, actually it's bonsoir, isn't it? It's bonsoir, so... I'm sorry. I'm really failing you as my French teacher. Oh my goodness. Cool. So yeah, I'd like you guys to answer this question with me today. We're going to ask everyone who pops into the chat the same question. They're all going to enter the deserted island with us. We're the first 5 people on the deserted island. So when the other survivors hop into the island, the first thing we'll do is at them. Like, if Delphine comes on, at Delphine, what's your deserted island tea? We're gonna all ragged and stuff. You know? So we'll ask that question. For me, let's not keep you guys waiting. For me, it's this janky tea that y'all saw on the Instagram story. Oh, there's Henrique! Henrique! You entered the deserted island! What tea are you bringing to, like, stay with us? My tea that... I would pick to bring out to a deserted island. Well, for one, if we're on a deserted island together, I would pick tea people for sure. We would have a really good time. We would probably not survive very long. We're just a bunch of, like, not so serious nerds, you know? Introverts, I guess. Like a bunch of introverts together. I guess that's not too bad. So if someone's like, I need some space, no one's gonna be like, why do you need space, huh? Like, don't you like me? Everyone's like, oh, his introvert battery has run out, so it's okay. He'll go to his cave, we'll go to our cave, we'll see you guys in the morning. Yeah, I think we'd be fine. You know, let me ask those survival questions in a little bit. My tea I would take on a deserted island is this 2012 Wild Mountain White. Some of you have already seen me brew this tea over and over again. I've talked about it on the tea practice emails. I've talked about it on live. I've talked about it on Instagram posts. I've talked about it on Discord. I can't shut up about this tea because it's amazing. This tea is the jankiest, like, ugly duckling tea you ever see in the world. I had a hard time taking a picture of it for Instagram today. It's so friggin' ugly. I mean, look at it. It's like it got like a little, like, you know, being hole in the middle, and it's kind of floppy looking. It's not the most sexy looking tea, but this white tea cake is so rich and so consistent and so giving no matter what situation I put it in, and that's why I'm picking it as my deserted island tea. No matter what I do, if I'm anxious, I'm not prepared to brew tea, if I'm in the mode, you know, like a brewing tea, it's gonna come out for me. And I think that's one thing you should consider for your deserted island tea is, can your tea show up even if the water they give us on the deserted island is shit, you know? For example, like, I would probably not bring a gyokuro to a deserted island because, you know, you gotta, like, do the thing. What if it's sensitive that day? What if you don't have the right teaware? I feel like I could hollow out a coconut shell and put some hot water in it and brew this tea and it would probably still come out okay, you know? Not sure if you can do that with a gyokuro. But if your tea's a gyokuro, we'll figure it out, I promise, on the deserted island. But probably if we're voting off people, we'd probably vote you off first, because gyokuro's hard to work with. That's a really fun thought. So, Gabby says that she would take a pu'er, okay? Which pu'er would you take? Which specific one? Remember, you gotta take the specific one for yourself, okay? Rachel's over here, Mindful Teas is here, Nicole is over here. Nicole's probably gonna be in the middle of the island like, oh my god, there's all these crazy tea people. Then Eric says, ugly is as ugly does. Oh, wow, you made me say that about myself on live. Eric, goodness. Ugh, I know Shawan made fun of you during her live, now you're just passing it on to me. What's up with that? I do call this the ugly duckling cake though, because it might be ugly, but it's got some depth. So maybe I'm ugly, but I've got some depth. Right, Steven?
Uh-huh.
And I lost 15 steeps. Wow. Okay. So as we were saying, as people jump into the stream, we'll like surprise them, like, what's your deserted island tea? We're already on the deserted island. Our hair is already like, you know, a mess, and we've already been talking about this. So Rachel says that her tea would be white pu'er buds. Those are yabao buds. Henrique, I think you were drinking that a couple days ago or yesterday, right? That's a really good one too. Nice, long-lasting one. Conrad Production, how's it going? Welcome to the island. You know, we should make it all tropical looking. Steven, how do we make this look tropical? Here we go. We got some, like, we're getting overgrown and stuff. There we go. Let's do some more island vibes going on. I got this wood. There we go. Okay, now we're really talking. So I'm going to brew this today, and we're going to have fun, and I'm going to tell you how this tea unfolds, so you can learn a little bit why I picked this tea and why it's, number one, my favorite tea, white tea-wise, of all time, and number two, I like to use it as a way to talk about teas that show up every single time. Super consistent, super reliable, versus teas that might be really, really good, but that are a little bit less reliable, I guess. I have some teas that I really, really like, but it takes a little bit of effort for them to come up the way I want to. This one, I just, yeah. And I'm feeling like taking it easy today before all the pu'er shenanigans. So, yeah, all I do is I flake off a little bit. It doesn't even take a pu'er pick, because it's so light. And then look at how ugly these leaves are. Okay, they're like, it's like someone scraped them up from the forest floor of our deserted island and pressed them into a tea cake. The reason why these are so kind of janky looking is that these are harvested from the bottom part of the tea plant. And these are from an abandoned tea garden in Fujian. So Fujian, you know, is well known for white teas, but this looks very different. It's nothing like a Silver Needle or Chaumet. It's not very beautiful looking. And it's almost like the point. This cake was a production by the producer that was almost like a hobby production. They just want to mess around, you know? But the messing around was with this abandoned tea farm. It hadn't been tended in like 40 years, so the bushes are overgrown. I haven't been to this garden. I'd really like to. But having been to those kinds of gardens, when you're in that kind of environment, the tea bushes kind of do what they want to. The weak ones will die off, unfortunately, like our island, you know, same situation. So I guess I'm dying off really early. And the leaves that are left behind, the leaf material that's left behind, is really interesting because you smell this. It kind of smells like it has a fermentation smell to it. Okay? It's almost like heicha, or even like a pu'er, but more specifically like heicha. And by fermentation smell, I'm talking about the kind of like roasted, aged plum thing going on. Not quite raisin, but like plum. A little bit of honey going on that's apparent in this white tea. So sometimes when I have people smell this, they're confused. It's like, wow, is it fermented? Is it not? And what's happening is because the garden has been abandoned, the leaf material that you pluck there and dry into white tea is still kind of microbially active, from what I understand. Like, I'm not a chemist, I haven't looked at this stuff under a microscope, but that seems to be what's happening in there. Now, why doesn't that happen with like a wild green tea or a wild oolong? Well, because with green tea and oolong, you're putting it through a firing process, right? So all our little buddies who are hanging out on their little deserted island will die. But in the case of white tea, as you guys know, it's the most minimally processed of all the teas. Not a lot is done to fix this tea. And for this particular cake, they really don't do much to it. Some white tea cakes, they'll bake some more, or they'll treat some more, but this one, they just kind of, dry it, and then pretty rustic, all right? So it's not like a princess of a tea that would not survive being on a deserted island as well. Not bad. So all I did, just flake some stuff off. I'm going to put it in my gaiwan. I'm not going to worry about it. Easy peasy. Which allows me to talk about you guys and what you have been telling me. Gabby says that her hands down tea would be a 2016 alter ego from Bitterleaf. I have some of that. It's part of the pu'ers I'm going to be tasting for the pu'er challenge, so I'm excited. And then Amy says she would take a cooked dongding. Steven likes dongding. From Mr. or Miss Nenyu by Kamui Sinensis. Has very different profiles when brewed either Western style or gongfu cha. So a more kind of interesting tea does different things, right? Okay. And then Nicole says, yeah, you all crazy tea people. Marzi's here too. Welcome to the deserted island. And then Jake from Nine Dragons Tea would take a 2011 Shangbing from Master John. He has Shang too? Oh wow, okay. We were actually looking at some pu'er earlier, of course. We were like, do we get a cake? Yeah, we get a cake, right? That's the right. So we're with you, Jake, for sure. Let's see. And then Mindful Tea is a pu'er, but I wouldn't know which exact cake. See, this is part of the practice. You need to be able, it needs to be the tea that you're like if a gun's to your head, like, dude, you only got 3 seconds, you pull it. This one I would pick without hesitation, right? So, yeah. Actually, Amy, I'm so sorry. I should know that when something is just M, it's Mr., right? Because I think if it's Miss, Madame, it's M-M-E in French. Is that right? If we were stuck on a deserted island, we would get a lot of French tutoring done. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to use it because we'd be on a deserted island. Okay. So I'm going to preheat this guy. So again, this tea I have is 2012 Wild Mountain White. It's a high elevation area, hence the mountain. And then it's wild, hence the wild. I mean, yeah. And then it's white tea. Hence, what am I doing? I'm just excited. So very simple tea name. Nothing like super special about the naming, but I almost wish this tea had a more impressive name because it's just such an impressive tea. Like Bitterleaf's alter ego. You know, we were just like, Wild Mountain White. This is actually a tea that's carried by our local tea shop, Tea and Whisk. only because I pressured Leo to carry it from our friend who has it as part of a private collection. I don't make any money off of this tea at all. I just really like it, and I just, wow, just holy shit. This is one of those teas that I think I've spoken to some of you guys about this. I didn't like the look of it when I first saw it. But luckily, I had already drunk the tea before I even saw the leaves. If I'd seen the cake first and how ugly it was, I'm not sure if I would have opted to bring it home. But the tea was so unmistakably good that it just showed up.
Thanks.
Here you go, Steven. Steven's part of the Deserted Island too. I'm saying hi to TJ, Jeremy, bonsoir, and Dylan. How's it going? I mean, you're not in Montreal technically, right? So I can speak to you in English. And then Selva Bal, welcome to our tea practice over here in Las Vegas. Steven, how's the tea? It's good. Yeah. It's just, wow. It's like pure joy. Oh my god. It's just super sweet. Like someone put sugar in it. Extremely. Just, wow. Now I'm gonna like settle down. I need to go like find a little palm tree to like sleep under. On the island. It's so relaxing. Goodness gracious. It's a really good tea. And then Amy says, yes, that's right. Thank you. All right. I'm so glad I'm letting to do the French a little bit. Let's practice if you don't mind. We're on a deserted island off the coast of France. So it's important now. And it's okay. The local French people will think that my teacher is Quebecois because I say that's right. Aujourd'hui, right? Aujourd'hui, je bois un thé, how do you say white? Blanc? Thé blanc? Thé blanc? Right? Un thé blanc de Chine? Is that how you say China? From China. C'est très bon. C'est délicieux. Oh my goodness. Does anyone else speak any other languages? I saw Amy, you were talking about Turkish, you know? Yes, but pronounced blanc. Blanc, not blanc. Of course. So all I need to do is to remember to drop the last letter of a French word as long as it's a consonant. Like on a deserted island, we drop the last person. So, blanc. There we go. Un thé blanc. Right? There we go. Cha Chai Tea, how's it going? James, I didn't see your announcement about your exit report today. So James from Single Origin Tea has been studying tea and plant pathology over in the University of Florida. For ages, it feels like, for as long as I've known you, and today was his exit seminar. So congratulations, friend. I hope it went well. I really wish I was able to see it. I hope that you post some kind of report about it, how it went. You know, if anyone's interested at all in growing tea, how tea works, you know, an actual tea scientist, then you should ask James about it. He's Single Origin Tea. He's actually gone and like studied how to make tea and grow tea and produce tea. So there are experts in the world, and then you have me. Yeah. If you're part of the Deserted Island crew, James, you can grow some tea plants with us. There we go. Dakota Soul's here too. How's it going? Welcome to our practice. For those of you who are joining us, what would your Deserted Island teas be? What would you just put into your backpack when you're running off from the apocalypse? The tsunami is coming and you have 1 second to put one last tea. You got your dog in one hand, you got your cat in another. I hope your boyfriend or girlfriend has your baby or whatever, and you're just going, you know, and you got your tea. What would it be? Luckily for us, this tea is just very giving. I put maybe just a gram of tea in this, and it's gonna be fine. I was almost a little bit worried brewing this because we have a lot of tea on the table. I'm glad you guys can't see this part of the tea table. We've got some hojicha. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plates of hojicha that we're taking pictures of for the Hojicha blog post that is coming up soon, which will document what we found out in our Hojicha experiment last week. And then puer tomorrow, so I'm nervous about having just a bunch of extra tea lying around, but that's okay. It's okay. Yeah. James, I'm sorry. That's going to be the last time I call you that. It's Dr. Ark. I'm really happy for you. Congratulations. And then Tyler's here, who spun up this question in the first place. What was your tea again? I think you said it was Jinjin from Tea and Whisk. Was that right? Did I remember it? Tyler was like sending me to his house, and he's like, "Oh, please God, make tea, make Reeve choose the right tea to get from my house for the deserted island boat." And then Geoff's here too. How's it going? And Jen from Tea Leaves and Tweed. There we go. So yeah, I'm curious. What would you guys bring as well? And we're using the word deserted island as a metaphor. It's fun to think about. I like to ask my friends, like, who would you vote out first? Like, who's going first, me or Steven? Like, who would you pick? Actually, that's a good question. But I don't want to ask it, because I know y'all will keep Steven. I would keep Steven too. James, is there an unlimited supply of the tea? Yes. So we're talking about the thoughts. There's an unlimited supply of the tea. Maybe. Would your answer change if there's not an unlimited supply of it? That's the question. My answer would not change if there wasn't an unlimited supply, because this cake is only like 200 grams, but because I can just brew a gram at a time, that's 200 infusions. 200 sessions. And whenever I brew this tea, we get up to like 10 to 15 or more. We always give up before this tea does, so I feel like 1 gram times maybe 150 grams left times 15, that's, wow, a lot of math. It's a lot. It's thousands of tea sessions. And then Dylan from Tea Dragon says either Baiji Guan or Milan Xiang. Good. And then Amy also likes Jinjin. And Jen from Tea Leaves and Tweed says Bagua-shan honey scent. Ooh, is that a Taiwanese tea? It sounds like it. Now, what would be interesting is if we had all of us on the island at the same time. And then I'm hoping, like, man, I got some white tea, she's got some Taiwanese. I hope someone's bringing, like, I don't know, what's the thing that you don't want to bring yourself, but you hope someone else does? You know, like, that's not my favorite tea, but I would hope that it's something else that someone likes. I think I would hope that someone else picked the Hojicha. I think that's one I would miss a lot if I didn't have it with me. I would hope someone would pick, I don't know, what else? A high mountain tea, because I even surprised myself that I'm not picking a high mountain tea here. The reason why is that this tea will brew up even at room temperature, but a high mountain oolong, you know how it needs to unfurl? I'm going to be sitting there waiting for my solar contraption to heat, like, the water to, like, open up the tea leaves. So I think that's why I picked this over a Taiwanese high mountain oolong. It's just a little bit more easy to work with. I brought this tea with me to airports and stuff, and I'll bring high mountain oolong with me to airports too. But, you know, if I just need to throw something into a paper cup, I just flake this off and I put it into a paper cup and we go, you know.
Eric's answer.
What's Eric's answer? Eric, I would take a full Qianliang log. So Eric is crazy because I wish you were here, Eric, to show the scale of a Qianliang log. So Qianliang is a heicha from Hunan, right, Eric? And there's some of you might have seen these really, really funny pictures or videos of these people who have like a massive like tea log, and then they use like a chainsaw to cut like slices off of it because it's compressed so much. Those are the really, really hard-pressed heicha. Some of them are a little bit like they just roll them in like a bamboo thing and they press them. Not as like hydraulic as that, but that's kind of good. But I would like to see all of us lined up trying to get onto the deserted island. I got like my little bag. Probably Steven has a dongding. Right? Or no, would you have your cake of this tea?
Well, you've got yours, right?
Yeah, I do. Because Steven has his own cake that he picked up before we started dating. I only dated him because he has another one of these cakes. So I now have two. What would you bring? We're asking all our friends, and I don't know what my own boyfriend is gonna bring. I hope you pick something good. Yeah. Jen says that she'd be bringing the Taiwanese would be borrowing Gyokuro from Amy. Amy, that's such a ballsy answer. Gyokuro? I don't know. I mean, I guess if it's like a little bit salty out there for a tropical island, the tropical notes, the salty notes would come out very well. And then Gia from Lazy Literatus. Lazy Literatus? I never know. Alishan Red Oolong, Jinchuan cultivar. What? It's interesting. I didn't expect that from you. I thought it'd be something funkier. I thought that it would be Darjeeling. But this makes sense. Taiwanese style red oolong made from Darjeeling cultivars. You're crazy. That's a little bit more like you, I think. And then why Candon is here. Welcome to our discussion. Sonia is also here. Nice to see you. Yeah, welcome. There's 10 of us on the deserted island. I feel like people keep jumping off the cliff when they're like, oh, screw this, I'm out. Yeah. So, as you can see, I've only made one infusion of this, and I'm still rolling. And then Tea Traveler says maybe some GABA oolong. GABA oolong makes me anxious, so don't give me that. I like the taste of GABA. And GABA is supposed to make you feel less anxious, but I guess everyone's neurotransmitters are different. And already being naturally quite anxious, maybe that's why it doesn't work for me. Makes me more anxious, I'm not sure. I do like Floating Leaves as GABA oolongs though. Probably the only GABA oolongs I've been able to kind of stomach. Amy says if it's in limited supply, then Gyokuro is perfect. That's true. You could redo it over and over again. And you could sprinkle it on like a coconut shells, We couldn't eat this, so makes sense. Geoff, I'm not sure if you're asking me, but the tea that I would bring is this 2012 Wild Mountain White. And let me show you how janky this thing is. I mean, it's so loosely pressed that whenever I just shake it, it just keeps falling apart. I mean, look at it. It's just... there's those pictures of like beautiful gushu cakes that you see from your favorite pu'er vendor. This is not it. It's very janky. Look how ugly it looks. It's not the most beautiful cake. You've seen some like beautiful pressed silver needle cakes and moonlight white cakes. This is not America's Next Top Model cake. It's got a lot of stems, but it's like an ugly duckling of a cake where if you just don't look at the leaves or think about what they look like first and just taste it first, it really shows. The reason why, this is so ugly is because it's made using the old leaves. We were talking about like the older leaf material when we were talking about hojicha and just, usually you don't want to use this for high quality tea. But the reason why these are good is because of the environment where it's grown. It's from Fujian. It's a high elevation abandoned white tea farm. Interestingly, cultivar friends, I know we have some cultivar nerds. It's from a cultivar called Xiaobai, Small White, I think is the name of it. And I'm pretty sure it's Xiaobai, but it's a small cultivar. And that's why you don't see any buds for a white tea. There are actually buds in there, but they're so friggin' tiny, you don't see them. Like, I can barely, yeah, there's a bud right there. But you can't see them because this cultivar was kind of left behind after Fujian started using the really sexy looking cultivars. Like the silver needles now with the really fat buds, like they thick, right? Thick with the triple C. This isn't very attractive. So from what I understand, they abandoned this cultivar largely in Fujian in favor of that larger leaf, larger bud, just more beautiful cultivar. So that's why it was abandoned. But then they went back there and they were like, let's just make some leaf off of the material. And that's why it's so almost like microbiotically active, like a pu'er, if that makes sense. Pu'er is not the only tea that can be microbiotically active. If you have an aged oolong that you haven't re-roasted, it becomes microbiotically active. If you have a tea like this, that's kind of like minimally processed and then pressed, just think about it. The stuff that's living on the leaf is not dead because it wasn't applied to with heat. They weren't killed, but then it's, you know, on the leaves, so there's nothing necessarily dangerous about that. It's just like any other happy bacteria living on your tea leaf. And I noticed that this cake, this is another reason why I picked this cake. This cake changes depending on where it is and what I do with it. I brought this with me to Taiwan last year during the summer. And the first 2 days I opened it, I was like, what the what's going on with this tea? I know it really well, I drink it a lot, but in Taiwan, it was just so happy with the humidity. All teas will change based on where they are and what you do with them, how they're stored, but this tea reacted like instantly. It's like all those guys who are living here were like, oh my god, party hard, and the aroma was super explosive. It was just so sweet and so full-bodied in Taiwan. The downside is that it was so rich, I lost a little bit of the kind of high notes and dry notes. So it's like a difference, you know? But I would like to see what happens in the deserted island. During typhoons, it's gonna taste different. During drought, it's gonna taste different. It kind of changes with me. And I like tea like that. You guys might actually have teas that are like this if you have any aged oolong that hasn't been re-roasted, if you have any pu'er that's been... Steven, are you okay? Social distancing. 6 feet. That's the first time I haven't heard you cough in like the last 14 days we've been together, so I'm kind of worried. Yeah, so you might have one of these actually. You might have a tea that's microbially active. Now, you know, I'm not sure if Dr. Auric from Single Origin Tea is still here to help us confirm, but that's what I understand about this cake and what I've been told. But it also confirms what I've observed about it and what I taste in it. So, you know, even if you don't have a PhD in science, tea science especially, I think it's okay for us to think a little bit more scientifically about the teas, as long as you're willing to, number one, test to see if what's been told to you about the tea matches what you taste in the cup, what you observe about the leaves, etc. And yeah, you know, what I've learned about this cake, even having never, you know, seen it produced, matches what I taste. And yeah, it surely matches what I feel about this tea, which is that it's just undeniably just joy. Whenever I brew this tea, it's just liquid joy. Steven, you like it? Good stuff? Yeah, it tastes like, it just brings me back to growing up in Manila, the warm tropical rain there, you know, it just tastes like rain, and I really like rain and sweet things. Good stuff. Geoff, this is from Tea and Whisk, actually. It's actually a private collection tea that I just fell in love with, and I was like, oh, please, Leo, please, please, please carry it so that other people can buy it too, because I could sell it, but I don't want to sell tea. So I was like, hey Leo, you go sell it, and I can just blab about it, and if people want it, they can get it from you. And not that I make a commission or anything, it's just so good. Do you guys have a tea that you're like, just, oh, I wish, like late at night you're praying and you're like, oh, I just wish more people would drink XYZ. This would be the tea. In addition to like High Mountain Oolong and Better Pu'er. Those are the three things I pray for. Please, please, please have people try Wild Mountain White, good High Mountain Oolong, and Better Pu'er. I think it's a pretty good 3 things to wish for. And I'm not prepping, Geoff. It's just really good. That unmistakably good tea that you don't gotta think about, you know? We're only in infusion 2 of this tea, right? Still super sweet. It just coats the entire like just palate with sweetness and coolness. Very refreshing. No matter what kind of like situation I'm in, if I'm prepared to brew the tea well or not, it just comes out. It's great. That's something I've been learning through Shoan and Noah of Floating Leaves, is that just like them, I used to think, oh, good tea will just always show up. But I wonder if some good teas just don't always show up. They take a little bit of effort to kind of coax to come out. And me and Steven have seen some of these teas recently that they're really, really good. But if they're being moody, or like if you're moody, you're not in the right space, you're not using the right teaware, the tea won't come out amazingly, right? But with this cake, no matter what I do to it, airport, sleepy, tired, depressed, anxious, etc., I just flake some off, water of any kind, bowl brew, gaiwan, pot that doesn't work for it, pot that works for it, water, bad water, good water, it doesn't matter. It's just good stuff. Yeah. Any teas like that for you too? Just really consistent, always showing up for you kind of teas. I don't think all my favorite teas are like that. Another one of my favorite teas is the Jade Mountain that you guys hear a lot, that my teacher makes. That's a very reliable tea too. But I would say this one is even more just consistent, and I think lasts just a little bit longer in the steeps. It's just a testament to the leaf quality, I think, that you would think tea that's just so janky looking, the old leaves, if you're talking about a regular tea farm, these would be like the throwaway leaves, you know? But they last forever. It just shows how good the quality of the tea is. I think if they made this tea with the upper leaf material of the plant, it might be just a little bit too much. It would just blow you away with just the intensity. And I like intense teas, but I think more than super crazy, like off-the-wall teas, I like friendly teas. Friendly, relaxing, just joyful teas, I'd say. Yeah. So, Mindful Tea says, don't cough in the cake. I know, I should probably not have it open, but it's like a living thing. It's just gonna hang out. There's a book that I read last year in preparation for the UC Davis summit or symposium. UC Davis in California has a tea program they're trying to create, or a tea institute, where they want people to study tea at the graduate level, undergraduate too. But before they start that, every single year they're doing this coming together of academics where people show their research about a certain topic in tea. And last year was tea and health, and there was going to be a talk by a microbiologist and about heicha and pu'er. So I was like, oh my god. So my friend Christine, who some of you guys know too, told me to read this book or audiobook called I Contain Multitudes. I Contain Multitudes. I know it sounds like some just, wow, you're just amazing, but it's a scientific book about your microbiome, your own gut microbiome and the microbiome of the world. And it's really changed the way I've seen tea as well. So don't think it's just some science thing. It's very applicable to tea. Apparently, when you come into a new place, like you go into an Airbnb, or you move into a new house, or you visit a friend's apartment to stay for a couple days, you populate the place with your microbiome. You change the microbiome of the place within 24 to 48 hours. So from the very moment you're just in the same room as someone else or another place, the microbiotic composition of that room is changed by you being there, which is really creepy, because then Stephen being here is changing this cake a little bit. You know, me being here, the fact that I have a dog. I imagine if someone didn't have a dog, the composition of their house would be slightly different, and so would the composition of this cake storage. It sounds a little bit far-fetched, but if you think about it, we already talk about this stuff in terms of dry storage and wet storage with pu'er. Wet storage in Hong Kong, wet storage in Taiwan, wet storage in Malaysia is different from dry storage in Kunming, you know, or whatever. Or here in Vegas, which is the driest possible storage. It doesn't get more dry than that. And more than just the humidity, it might just be the microbiome too that's changing it. Because two people can have the same level of humidity in their cakes or their pu'er storage area, and they'll still get a different storage style, you know? So it's interesting. It's interesting. If you'd like to read what I saw at the UC Davis seminar 2 years ago, that blog post is on my site. It's called UC Davis Takeaways About Tea and Health. There's a little bit about that microbiotic stuff there, but I would just recommend listening to the book. It's really, really good. And if you store tea or just do tea in general, you're all tea curious people, you know, I highly recommend listening a little bit about that kind of stuff, because it's really helped me understand why tea can change so much based on tiny variables, you know, even stuff that we're like, oh my god, why isn't this tea showing up? It might be energy. I don't know. You know, I really don't know if it's energy or not. Sometimes there are very unexplainable things that happen to my teas. But maybe it's the microbiome, you know? Maybe your microbiome is off, or the microbiome of your room is off, who knows? And this cake definitely shows me stuff. Like, it's like a living thing, which is interesting. That's partially why I want to bring it with me to the deserted island. Let's name the deserted island, though. What's the name of this place? What would you name the deserted island if we were just a bunch of tea people on there? Yeah, I'll take suggestions.
Taiwan.
Taiwan's a big deserted island.
Tattoo.
You hear that guy? Taiwan and Taitu, he says. Stupid. Eric says that he wants to take a northerly deserted island. It's gonna be cold, dude. We're gonna have like storms and stuff. We want to have like a tropical deserted island, right? You guys vote for a tropical one or a cold one? I'd say tropical, dude. Although tropical ones have typhoons too, I guess. So, to be fair. Eric, yes, the Hecha thing was very good. I think her name is Dr. Yvonne Wan. I remember her name because I really, really enjoyed her presentation, and she herself is a Hecha collector. So I think it's the best when the scientist themselves is into the tea, so that the problems we run into with tea research are a little bit cut away, because they are actually aware that if they test a tea and publish the research, they know that it's limited by the constraints of having just tested one tea. Versus I've met other researchers who have done tea studies and, you know, have analyzed tea samples in a lab, but they might come from like a coffee background, or they only drink black tea. So they're not as well versed, or let's say they just don't answer the questions that I want answered as a tea drinker. But Dr. Wan is actually a tea drinker, so she's like, oh, I'm so curious about how my Hecha develops and how it changes, you know, how it affects my digestive system, etc., which is a lot of our questions about tea, you know. So yeah, and then Jen says, I really like this. So bitter leaves teas work better for me because we both have cats. I can't say no, you know, I can't discount that, because I'm sure cat people have different microbiomes than dog people. In the book, I Contain Multitudes, again, is the name of the book. They say that people who do own pets have a more diverse microbiome than people who don't, and it tends to help them health-wise. Because what the pets do is they go outside, and then they bring things from the outside back inside, and we live in these kind of sterile home environments where we're not exposed to a lot of diversity in our organisms that live with us, and having a dog or cat helps with that, which is interesting, you know? Hi to Melon Marin and Trekking Buddha. You're just jumping into our interesting conversations about being on an island and almost simulating what it's going to be like, because we're getting into some tangents for sure. We're only on steep number 2 of this tea. It's just such a giving tea. It's just so good. It's just so good. It just tastes like rain, like really, really warm, like tropical rain and joy. I just don't want to put tasting notes to it. Stevia, I guess. It's just sweet and leafy. So sweet and leafy, there's your tasting notes, but it tastes like joy. Just distilled joy, okay? Just happiness. And yeah, I'm sorry, I can't get any fancier than that in terms of the tasting notes. It's just super good. Hate this tea. And with how little there is inside, I mean, look at it. There's really not much because the leaves are very light. That's like a gram. It's so potent. The color of the liquor isn't very strong either, but it's extremely expansive, cooling aftertaste even. That aftertaste is incredible. Just crazy stuff. You're noticing, if you know, I'm only taking a sip or 2 at a time, and that's all I need from this tea. I find when tea is really good, I don't have to chug it. I want to, because it's so delicious, but it's so satisfying that I just don't have to. Yeah, it's crazy. Here you go, Steven. We're taking suggestions for our island name. Sinensis Island. Eric says no. I don't think no is a good name either. Geoff says cold. I don't think cold is a good name either. Shiloh, how's it going? I hope that there's some clay for you to work with on the island, because then we'd have a ceramicist that we can, I don't know, actually not drink out of coconut bowls. You know? Trekkie Buddha says, what you drinking? We're drinking a Wild Mountain White from Tea and Whisk, my most favorite white tea. Shiloh, hello to you as well. He asked if everyone shared those Desert Island teas. We are doing that right now, so please do, share yours. We spoke about this the other day. Consistent teas, like teas that are not only mind-blowing, but also super consistent. This is my tea. Shiloh shared a aged jasmine white tea cake. Is that right? It was a cake, right? He has a really consistent aged jasmine white tea cake that always shows up for him no matter what. And I remember this cake. This is my cake, Shiloh. That's like that for me. So pretty good. Eli Amelie, konnichiwa. Good morning. How's it going? Ciao. Hope you're doing well. We're talking about what teas we're gonna, bring with us if the world were ending and we had to pick a tea to take to the deserted island. Jen says, my toddler definitely contributes more to my microdiversity than my cat. That's true. Just another human who shares a lot of space with you. And then Shiloh, intriguing, builds immunity, but I'm curious to see how it applies to each individual person's unique immune system. Yes, we're all different. And that also helped me kind of maybe put an explanation as to why some people are more affected by some teas than others. Like some people will drink pu'er and they're like, oh my god, it's so tea drunk. That's me. And then some people will drink dansong and they're like, oh my god, it's so tea drunk. And I'm like, what's going on there? It's weird. We are different people, so of course different people, different reactions, but what is chemically happening that causes that to happen? I don't understand. Of course, we're different, but why? Are you digesting it differently? Sometimes it's even instant, people take a sip and they're like, whoa, it's so tea drunk. And I'm like, doesn't the digestive system take longer than that to process food or drink? I know digestion starts happening right in the mouth, but yeah, it's curious. Tea curious. Hey. Shiloh, I don't even want to read your comment about your bodily fluids, but full porch, welcome. And yeah, there we go. We're all caught up to the people coming in. Good. Sorry, I'm just having too much fun with our comments here. Eli Amelie says, could you tell me again which kind of pu'er? This is not a pu'er we're drinking yet. It's still March 31st here in America. So it's not the pu'er challenge yet. I promise that will come up tonight before April 1st our time. It's a white tea cake, actually. So it does look like pu'er, but this is a pressed wild white tea using the older leaves. Usually older leaves don't taste like very much or don't last very long, but because it's wild tea, the tea is kind of banked up a lot of energy and taste, so they taste really, really, really good and sweet. Lovely stuff. I'm glad you're having a nice morning in Tokyo. It's nice afternoon here in Vegas. We're still in the previous month. Still March. And Shiloh says that the jasmine scented aged silver needle would be his deserted island tea. A tea that you could have any time. That's why I picked this one too. A tea I could have any time. And yeah, that's a question I want to ask him. Do they have any more of that tea available? Oh my goodness. And she has a mini white tea cake as well, Emily says. You should have it with us. Yeah, please, please, please. I was actually inspired by my friend, the tea letter, this morning. Mike, who also dropped in on yesterday's Instagram Live, was drinking a... what am I doing? That's from earlier. He was drinking an aged white tea, and I'd given him some of this tea. And Steven and I have been wanting to drink this tea. It's just so good. But I almost want to respect this tea because it lasts so long that if I rust it out, I want to make sure I go through all 10 or 15 of the steeps it can give me. It's just, they can last forever. We have some friends that say they'll, you know, just keep brewing it for like 2-3 days over and over again. And then Amelie says it's from a tea company in Italy called Eastern Leaves. I heard a lot about them. I think they're in Milan. I have a lot of friends who really, really like their teas. So I really hope to visit there someday. I actually visited up in Torino for a day to see tea friends. And then I took the train to Venice and passed by Milan, but didn't have a chance to go to Milan. But I would have wanted to go. And I hear that they have a tea festival now in Italy, so I'd like to see that too. And there are only 1 or 2 cakes available.
Run!
I hear Steven like frantically typing. Are you shopping right now, Steven? We gotta get that cake. Oh my goodness. We are only on the 3rd infusion of this, and I haven't even reboiled the water because I don't care what I do to this tea. It is so patient. It is super patient. For those of you who also watch Floating Leaves' live streams, I want to make a connection to the kinds of teas that they drink. Some of the teas they drink are extremely demanding teas. They're like teachers. They're like, you know, like, you gotta have your setup, you gotta be centered, okay? Like, unfold your legs, Ree. Be sure that you're ready to brew the tea. And I do think that you make better tea if you're centered and you're aware and you practice with the tea. Of course you make better tea. And some of their teas that we've gotten are just mind-blowingly life-changing teas. But you need to be there and focused to get that effect out. This tea, just toss it, you know, pour some water over it, bowl brew it, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It'll just show up. It's like that best friend who's always going to be with you, who's always got their back. I've got a lot of those. I'm really lucky. I'm like, oh man. They deal with a lot of my crap. Like being away half the year, not showing up to stuff because I'm not in the country, and I didn't tell anyone I was going to leave for Taiwan 3 times last year. Stuff like that. You need friends like that, right? You know? And Eli Amelie, I was working at Tea House there. There we go. You mentioned that to me. So yeah, 3rd infusion of the Wild Mountain White. We're only 45 minutes into our deserted island experience. Are we still alive? Who's fallen off the island? Who's jumped off the cliff? Who's still here? Who hasn't gone crazy yet to go find their own cave? Still super consistent. Just super sweet, super smooth. The one thing that's classically, like just formally not that fantastic is in this tea is maybe the finish is a tiny bit drying because of the material of the leaves. Old tea leaves like this will tend to kind of be a little bit drying on the palate, on the finish. But honestly, it's not a deal breaker for me. The rest of it is just so incredible that I don't mind. Look how slow I'm drinking this tea. It's not just because we're having a good time talking to each other, which I'm definitely having a good time talking with y'all. It's just so satisfying. Just really good. Esberg Hard, welcome. I'm glad you caught us before the very tail end of the live today. Let us know if you have any questions about yesterday's live. I know you popped in wanting to see the preparation of the matcha live, but here you go. Shiloh, does Anthea Tea House have some good pour? Because we're only 8 hours away from April 1st here, which is the start of the pour challenge. Thinking about the hashtag pour love or hashtag pour love TC. I want to be able to keep track of which ones are tea curious and which ones are not, because I think having 2 hashtags was too difficult last time. Just a lot of typing, so I need to pick one. But we will be having some friends come in to join us on the Instagram Live, which I'm excited about. So it's not just me all the time. We will still be doing daily lives until I fall over or the quarantine ends. And yeah, we'll be having some Puer friends come here and join us for the Instagram lives to kind of share their own knowledge, but we also will be continuing our own tea practices together. So I hope you guys are excited about that. If there's anyone that you'd like to specifically hear from, a favorite Puer vendor that you'd like to have on the stream, let me know. We could maybe, get a list of names so that when I ask them, hey, this person all wanted you to be on the stream to learn from you. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it's just like everything I do on Tea Curious. It's a mirror of how I learn best about tea. I have a lot of tea books. I have, read and listened to and just seen a lot of really good tea content on the internet and in books, but I really learn from these one-on-one conversations with tea people, or even just group conversations where I'm able to ask, I don't know, Geoff, why does Darjeeling have a red oolong that they make? Why is that? We can look at it and be like, why is that something that they do if it even exists, Or Shiloh, why does this jasmine-scented silver needle affect you that much? Why is it that moving of a tea? We talk a lot about kind of the, preparation of tea, what temperature, what teaware, what, water. And a lot of the things I've learned have just come from like split-second little conversation pieces I've had with people who know more than me. And I'm like, oh shit, like they don't even know, but they dropped like this nugget of knowledge I hadn't thought about before. And then I'll go home and I'll think about it while I'm having tea, and I'm like, oh, that one thing that, Showen said, or Iman said, or Shang said, or Ai said, or these are all people who are Taiwanese or Chinese, or, Shiloh, or Geoff, or Kevin, or Delphine, or Amy, or Steven, or anyone, it doesn't even have to be someone who's a teacher. Even from my own tea workshops or whatever that I host, I teach those classes, quote unquote, but I learn so much from the people who show up because everyone has a different perspective, So, Shiloh, thank you for letting us know about where to get this this tea. I'm really excited to go find it. By the way, Yin Ceramics is Steven right beside me, so don't get him wrong. Hi, that's us. I think Steven just doesn't like showing people that he has a guitar on his profile picture. He plays guitar. Ha! Shiloh plays guitar too, so you guys can talk because you guys are guitar people. Steven hates being called a guitar guy, so don't call him that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. That's why he's on Yin Ceramics during these lives. Ane Jin and Camellia's Treaty, how's it going? We're at the tail end of our practice with our deserted island teas. We will ask you too. We've been saying, everyone who hops on, what tea would you bring if you were stuck on a deserted island? You only got 2 or 3 minutes to pick the tea that you want, put it in your backpack and go. Just one specific tea. One specific tea. Which tea would it be? For me, it's Wild Mountain White. 4th steep of this baby. I don't even need a 4th steep. Look how little I've drunk of the last steep. Again, it's not because I'm forgetting about it. The aftertaste is so strong, right, Steven? Just so persistent. It just stays. It's just so much staying power, for sure. I don't need to steep it this quickly, honestly, Is Podne Beznosh? Okay, is that right? How's it going? And Ian from Dottitron, welcome. Curious also about your answers to this question. To boil it down, it's not so much about what the deserted island is, more so about which tea do you love so much and trust so much to stick with you that you bring it with you. That's really what we're trying to say here. I mean, I love the metaphor of the island. It helps put it in perspective. But, of all the teas, right? Yeah. So let me know what your answers are. We're about to end the stream in 19 seconds. Instagram doesn't let me go even just 5 seconds longer than that. So let me know your thoughts on this. Share with me. I always appreciate having practice with you. Tomorrow, pour challenge. Thank you. Goodbye.